The most religious signs of the Zodiac. Which of the signs of the Zodiac are born with a special inner sense of faith, a desire for spirituality, and a longing for the divine? Who is capable of seeking answers not only in earthly reality, but also in higher powers, turning life into a path of awareness and prayer? There are people for whom religion is not just a tradition, but the very essence of their soul. Today, I will reveal the secret of the signs whose connection to the spiritual world is stronger than others. These individuals live as if guided by an invisible hand, their faith stronger than any doubts, and their inner light capable of changing even those around them. They are the most religious signs of the Zodiac, those whose hearts are always open to prayer and higher purpose. Watch carefully and listen to the end. Perhaps your sign will be among those who carry a special spiritual power. Subscribe to the channel right now if you want to know the secrets of the Zodiac more deeply than they are described in ordinary horoscopes. Write in the comments how important faith and spiritual values are to you, because this will help us reveal even more hidden facets of destiny. First sign, Sagittarius. In Sagittarius, religiosity manifests itself not as a formal attachment to rituals, but as an inner drive to search for higher meaning. Their faith is dynamic, requiring movement and constant expansion of horizons. Sagittarius turns to religion not for peace of mind, but for inspiration and strength. He is like an archer pulling back the bowstring, and each of his prayers is an arrow flying toward the truth. Faith for him is not static. It pushes him to action, makes him get up and move forward, even if the road seems impassable. Such a person is not limited to a narrow circle of traditions. They are able to see the connections between different spiritual systems. That is why many Sagittarians become pilgrims, explorers of sacred texts and practices that connect different cultures. Their interest in religion is a thirst for understanding. It is important for them not just to believe, but to get to the heart of the matter, to ask questions that may seem uncomfortable. They are not afraid of doubts, because it is doubt that strengthens their spiritual aspirations. In society, Sagittarians often become those who inspire others by their example. Their religiosity is evident in the way they talk about faith with an open heart and passionate conviction. They are able to inspire people with ideas, unite them around moral values, and show that faith is not a limitation, but an energy that drives them forward. Their words rarely sound dry or dogmatic. Sagittarius puts the heat of their soul into them, and therefore it is easy to hear them even for those who are far from religious practice. The inner world of this sign is filled with images, symbols, and rituals that become part of their daily life. They may start the day with a short prayer or pay attention to signs that others simply do not notice. For them, faith is not a burden or an obligation, but an integral part of their existence. It becomes the core around which all decisions and actions are built. At the same time, Sagittarius will always defend the idea of freedom. Their religiosity is not intrusive. It does not put pressure on those around them. He is more of an example of how to combine inner conviction with respect for the path of others. This ability makes him a valuable conversationalist and leader in situations where different views need to be brought together. But behind his outward enthusiasm lies a strict inner discipline. Sagittarius knows how to demand a lot from himself when it comes to spiritual principles. He will not allow himself to betray what he considers sacred. It is this steadfastness that makes him particularly significant in areas where faith and moral stability are important. For this sign, religiosity becomes a powerful tool for overcoming crises. When life throws challenges at them, Sagittarius is the first to seek strength and support in faith. They are convinced that only a spiritual foundation can help them stand firm. This conviction is reflected in their actions. They are not prone to panic because they always see something greater than any earthly difficulties above them. Sagittarius has a huge influence on those around them in religious terms. They are capable of sparking interest in faith where there was none before, and strengthening those who are already seeking the path. Their religiosity is bright, open, and active. It is like a fire that keeps hope alive, even when darkness reigns around them. The second sign is Leo. He has a thirst for greatness in his soul, which is why religion is not just a formal set of rules for him. For Leo, faith is a stage on which he seeks unity with something higher than himself, not for the sake of worship as such, but for the feeling of strength that he draws from spiritual practices. His inner discipline and need for respect make him one of the most consistent and convincing bearers of religious values. Leo is not limited by symbols or traditions. He turns religion into his own personal path, where every prayer becomes a manifestation of his character, and every ritual an affirmation of his dignity. He is inclined to actively participate in religious life, whether it be visiting temples, participating in rituals, or discussing faith with like-minded people. But most importantly, he puts enough energy into it to inspire those around him. Leo easily takes on the role of leader, mentor, or preacher because he perceives religious truths as universal laws that should work in everyone's life. For him, faith is a system through which he builds order, and religiosity itself is a tool for maintaining harmony. Leo rarely doubts his spiritual beliefs. Even when faced with crises or questions, he seeks answers without allowing himself to stray from his chosen path. This makes him a steadfast devotee who is trusted and sought out by others. For him, faith is not about weakness or fear, but about the opportunity to affirm the strength of spirit. He perceives religiosity as proof of his inner steadfastness, and this is what gives him confidence in difficult moments. This steadfastness attracts people who are looking for an example. He doesn't just talk about faith, he demonstrates it in his actions, in caring for loved ones, in his willingness to support, in his ability to hold his head high. His religious values become visible and tangible. For Leo, these are not empty words. They are the foundation on which he builds his life. His image of a religious person is a combination of discipline, pride, and bright energy. He sees in faith what makes him stronger, purer, and wiser. Where others seek comfort, Leo seeks a source of strength, and this difference makes him one of the most religious signs of the zodiac. The third sign is Pisces. Pisces is a sign for which spirituality and faith are not an outer shell, but an inner core. People of this sign have a special ability to perceive religious values more deeply and acutely than others. They are not limited to formalities. For them, religion becomes a personal code, a way to explain what is happening and give meaning to any trial. Faith for Pisces is not just a tradition, but a need that is rooted in their worldview. Pisces tend to seek answers in prayer and spiritual practices rather than in dry logic. For them, religion becomes a universal tool that allows them to cope with fears, doubts, and uncertainty. While other signs seek solutions externally, Pisces tend to look inward, where faith reveals a source of stability. This is why they are perceived as the most religious. Their attachment to spiritual teachings is not superficial. It permeates their thoughts and actions. It is worth paying special attention to the fact that Pisces are able to see religion not only as a system of rules, but as a path that helps to build relationships with themselves and the world. They are often drawn to studying sacred texts, seeking wisdom in religious teachings, and even if they do not adhere to strict canons, their respect for spiritual traditions remains unshakable. For Pisces, faith becomes a support to which they return again and again when life throws challenges their way. Their inner world is structured in such a way that they perceive religious ideas emotionally. Pisces are able to deeply feel prayer, be imbued with ritual, and feel unity with the divine through symbols. They perceive religious practices not as ritual for ritual's sake, but as an opportunity to receive support, to feel that they are not alone. This is what sets Pisces apart from other signs. They turn faith into a personal space of strength. Many representatives of this sign are endowed with the ability to feel compassion and the desire to help others, and here religious values become the most important guide. For Pisces, faith is directly related to mercy. They more easily accept the commandments of helping others, forgiveness, and self-sacrifice. Their religiosity is expressed not only in words, but also in deeds. They are able to support, comfort, and share the pain of others, and it is faith that helps them not to dry up in the process. It is worth noting another feature. Pisces are not afraid to admit their weaknesses and seek spiritual help. It is natural for them to seek solace in religious practices. They are not ashamed of their need for support from above. This makes them sincere in their religious experience. They do not try to appear stronger than they really are, but on the contrary, they open themselves to a spiritual source, trusting it. If we look at the everyday life of Pisces, religion permeates it in many different forms. For some, it is regular prayer. For others, respect for church holidays, and for others, reading spiritual literature. But there is always genuine involvement behind it. Pisces do not separate their faith from reality. For them, it is present in their work, family, and communication. Their behavior is often colored by religious principles, which makes them consistent and true to their beliefs. Their ability to perceive religion as part of life gives them stability in difficult times. Even when everything around them is falling apart, Pisces find the strength to hold on to their faith. This gives them a special resilience, even though they may appear soft on the outside. They are ready to move forward precisely because they feel the support of higher values, and this gives them an unyielding will where others lose their way. Faith becomes their foundation, a hidden armor that is invisible to those around them, but palpable in every decision. Pisces are distinguished by their ability to perceive religious teachings through the prism of empathy. Their faith is never dry, it is filled with feelings. They are ready to discuss spiritual issues, seek answers together with others, and at the same time not impose their opinion. Their religiosity is not aggressive, it is gentle but strong, because it is based on understanding and openness. Even in the simplest matters, Pisces are capable of showing respect for religious symbols and traditions. They tend to perceive the spiritual as part of the beauty of the world, as an element of harmony. That is why they often develop a need for art, music, and painting, where they see a reflection of the divine. Their faith is closely linked to sensitivity and imagination, and this combination creates a powerful foundation that strengthens their religiosity. It is worth emphasizing that Pisces are able to find not only comfort in religion, but also strength for action. Faith helps them overcome apathy, set goals, and remain patient. They can wait a long time, and it is faith that sustains them in this waiting. Their spirituality does not make them passive. On the contrary, it transforms them into people who are ready to strive for results, relying on their inner convictions. This is why Pisces are considered one of the most religious signs. For them, faith is not an outward display but a natural part of life. Their desire for spirituality is so deep that it determines their actions, relationships, and even thoughts. It is this strength that makes them truly devoted to religious principles and sets them apart from others. The fourth sign is Virgo. For her, religion is primarily a system of order and moral law, where every rule has meaning and every action must be conscious. Virgo perceives religiosity not as an abstract feeling, but as a practical discipline that regulates life and cleanses it of chaos. She strives for perfection and sees spiritual practices as a tool for inner harmony. Her faith is never superficial. It is based on careful study, the search for meaning, and constant work on herself. Her inner demands make Virgo particularly strict in matters of religion. She does not tolerate a frivolous attitude toward the sacred, and does not allow herself or others to treat faith formally. If Virgo chooses the spiritual path, she follows it completely, paying attention to details that others might overlook. Her prayers are precise and focused. Her participation in rituals is careful and profound, and her attitude toward texts and canons is respectful and thoughtful. Virgo's religiosity is also evident in her attitude toward people. She strives to help, care for, and heal with words and deeds because she believes that spiritual duty consists not only in turning to God, but also in serving others. She perceives the commandments not as abstract rules, but as a guide to action that must be embodied in everyday life. For Virgo, it is important not only to know about good, but also to do it. A feature of her religious perception is skepticism towards superficial manifestations. Virgo may question anything that is not confirmed by personal experience or does not fit into her internal logic. But this is precisely what makes her religiosity stronger, because it is based not on blind faith, but on conscious choice and conviction. She tests every truth before accepting it, and when she does accept it, she holds on to it with firmness. Virgo knows how to combine spirituality with reality. Her faith does not lead her into dreams and illusions. It manifests itself in concrete actions, in her ability to maintain order, in her pursuit of honesty, in her willingness to help, even if it requires effort. Her religiosity can be called practical, but it is this practicality that makes it deep and genuine. This approach makes Virgo one of the most religious signs, because for her, faith is not limited to words or rituals. It becomes the foundation on which life is built, the source of principles that manifest themselves in everything from small habits to big decisions. Virgo does not allow herself to separate the spiritual from the earthly. Everything is subject to a single system, where faith becomes the foundation of inner and outer purity. The fifth sign is Cancer. His religiosity comes from the depths of his feelings because he perceives faith not with his mind, but with his heart. For Cancer, spiritual truths are connected with memory, traditions, and caring for loved ones. He perceives religion as a continuation of the family, as a foundation that unites generations. In his soul, religiosity is not a dry doctrine, but a warm refuge where a person finds comfort and hope. That is why Cancer is considered one of the most sincere and devoted signs in matters of faith. They often seek protection in religion, striving to find a sense of security in it. They are drawn to temples, prayers, and symbols that remind them of their roots and eternal values. For them, faith is not only communication with the higher power, but also a support that helps them cope with anxiety and instability. Cancer does not take spirituality superficially. He puts all his emotional strength into it, which makes his religiosity deep and touching. The main feature of Cancer is the ability to connect the personal and the sacred. His faith is always colored by personal experience, memories of parents, family events, and inner experiences. They tend to preserve religious traditions and pass them on to others because they see them as the basis of human connection. For them, spirituality is inseparable from caring, which is why they express it through good deeds, through a desire to help, protect, and support. Cancer knows how to perceive religion as a living fabric of life. For him, not only texts and rules are important, but also rituals associated with home, food, holidays, and family gatherings. He makes religiosity a part of everyday life, and this turns it into a natural element of his existence. Faith for him is not something separate, but the air he breathes. Cancer's special strength lies in the fact that their religiosity is imbued with sincerity. They do not seek to present themselves as exemplary believers. They simply cannot do otherwise. Their inner world is such that spirituality becomes a necessity. They seek not status or discipline in religion, but peace of mind. And this is precisely what makes their commitment so profound. Cancer treats religion as a living dialogue. They know how to speak sincerely in prayer. They feel the presence of something greater in everyday trifles. They notice spiritual meaning where others pass by. Their religiosity is always emotional, and it is this emotionality that makes them the most sensitive and devoted among believers.